Welcome to the Horrible Film School, a dark place where hairy men watch scary movies. I'm Chris, and I'm deeply apologetic for my audio issues in that last episode. I did a mic check, I swear. I'm joined today by Ryan Hootie.
Hello, everybody. Really excited to talk about creepy dolls because I feel like everybody's grandma's house was full of these creepy-ass dolls. So this should be fun.
We're also here today with a truly good guy, my bro Joe.
Howdy ho!
Joey, you look like a guy who probably had a good guy doll.
I got one of the Buddy dolls for Christmas one year. Not
This is
long
true.
after this movie had come out. I think that doll might have lasted a month. It eventually wound up in our backyard in the woods with its head torn off.
True story, it was found decapitated.
What was playtime like at the Purdy household? Good Lord.
It was Sid's house from Toy Story. Today we're going to be tracking some horror tropes throughout this movie, looking to crown it with that elusive, horrible red rum diploma. No silver medals here. It's got to hit all 6 tropes to earn that honor. Those 6 tropes are carnage candy, the jump scare, the killer plays possum, nudity, splitting up, and technical difficulties. Today we play judge, jury, and executioner to 1988's Child's Play. Heavy spoilers ahead. Today's lesson, how to buy that perfect birthday present. So I'll kick it to you, Mr. Hootie, and as few words as possible, tell the good folks what we're going to be chatting about today.
In 10 words or less.
Ooh, definitely not going to do that. I failed that assignment. Professor Purdy. One thing America loves is the thirst for consumerism. So what better way for a mother to feed that desire than to buy her son Andy the commercially forced toy of the year? In this case, it's a good guy doll. Andy names this creepy Cabbage Patch Kid look-alike doll Chucky. However, Chucky holds a dark secret that everyone in this film will soon find out. Who wrote the first film and all the films except for the remake was Don Mancini. He is all about the Chucky universe, and I don't know why he did not write the remake. This film was directed by Tom Holland, who you might know from the original Fright Night and Thinner.
The Fright Night movie was actually his directorial debut. That's super impressive.
Next up, we have Charles Lee Ray, or Chucky, played by Brad Dourif, who we all know from Lord of the Rings and Deadwood.
Yeah, he's plays Doc Cochran in Deadwood. Probably one of my all-time favorite TV shows, if not favorite. Fantastic actor. Has probably one of the most recognizable voices in the industry. Not really on the level of like James Earl Jones or Sean Connery or any of those guys, but he's fantastic.
An iconic voice. The laugh alone is something that should be turned into a ringtone if anybody's out there with the free time. He's always done some good work. I think one of his first films was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which obviously was a big deal. Great fucking hair, too. And he played the sheriff in the Rob Zombie Halloween, just so you horror fans are aware.
Did you guys do any research into what like Chucky? Because he's done cameos in a lot of stuff. Do you guys recall the time he did a little stint in the WCW?
Oh my God!
I think I do.
I did not know about this. What?
WCW Thunder, that shitty program they had on I think Thursday nights.
Yep, Thursday Night
There
Thunder.
was a bit with Rick Steiner and Mean Gene where Scott Steiner was actually going to be in a movie. I think Brad Dourif or Tom Holland or somebody was a part of. He's telling Mean Gene and Rick Steiner to shut the fuck up and all this other shit. It's really funny. If you got time, Google it or YouTube it. It's pretty
So was
great.
he in the ring like the actual good guy doll?
No. It's just like it's like something he had shot beforehand. I don't even think it was live.
Karen Barkley, played by Catherine Hicks, who you might know from Seventh Heaven, or Peggy Sue Got Married.
When I
Classic,
see their
apparently.
happy faces smiling back at me, where will you go?
Have you two seen this Peggy Sue movie?
What?
No.
That's the theme song from Seventh Heaven.
Next up, Detective Mike Norris, played by Chris Sarandon, who you might know from Princess Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas, as he was the voice of Jack.
This dude's actually got a pretty long list of decent movies.
Pretty impressive.
He was actually one of the starring roles in Fright Night, the original. He played the vampire Jerry Dandridge.
Yep.
If you're a vampire movie buff, this movie is required viewing. He also played Leon in Dog Day Afternoon. Probably one of my favorite, if not favorite, Pacino movie.
That is a great Pacino movie. And the Fright Night remake was pretty good, too. Not to
he was in that, right?
Away from the original. Yeah, he had a cameo in the remake.
He was in the remake.
Yeah, he had a cameo.
Last and certainly not least, we have Andy Barclay, played by Alex Vincent, who was in Child's Play 1, 2, and The Curse and Cult of Chucky.
The guy's actually going to be reprising the role as well. Spoiler alert, he survives this movie and every other Chucky movie. But Sci-Fi actually has a series coming out called Chucky.
I'm not a huge Chucky buff. I know you two guys love this franchise. So Alex Vincent is in Child's Play 1, 2, Curse and Cult. Why was he not in the third one? Like, what happened
in
the third Chucky?
Here's the crazy part. Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 were all filmed and produced within like 5 years. And the third one actually takes place when he's like in his late teens, maybe mid-teens. So they couldn't really use the same actor to play, that role when he only would have been like 10 years old. Dina Manoff plays Maggie Peterson, who you guys might know from a little movie called Grease. She plays Marty Maraschino.
I never recognized her. She was the hot one.
How fucking hot is she in Grease? They couldn't catch his first name, but N. Brock Winkless IV is one of the puppeteers, and he's actually the one puppeteer credited as the puppeteer of the Chucky doll. This guy's list of stuff he's done is pretty impressive. Special effects for Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Mac and Me, that fucking
Mac
classic.
And Me.
He did makeup on Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Worked as puppeteer on the 3 Child's Play movies, Bride of Chucky, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Alien 3, and Man's Best Friend. And there's also one more show or film that I think would be considered the crown jewel, the piece de resistance in this man's IMDb page. He did the puppeteering for a little film called Congo.
Oh, Amy, love, banana.
It all comes back around to Congo.
Awesome for the throw in there, Joy. Let's talk about some behind-the-scenes stuff of Child's Play. Screenwriter Don Mancini was inspired by the consumerism of the 1980s and the effect of marketing on children based on his experiences with his father, an advertising executive who apparently was a bit of an abuser.
This is like fucking Don Draper from Mad Men. Thanks, John Hamm, for that great fucking TV show. You were a shitty dad.
The original script called for the good guy doll to bleed and for a blood bond to be formed with the child, which would allow the child to use the doll for evil. Ed Gale was used as Chucky in scenes that required a real actor to perform the stunts.
I read a interesting little tidbit about that. He's actually about 33% bigger than the actual Chucky doll. So they had to make different scenes, or not different scenes, but different sets for him, where all the objects and items in the rooms were like 33% bigger, like the countertops, the light switches, stuff like that. Pretty neat.
I thought they hit it well, because I know in some of the Chuckies there's some very bad, obvious, this is a human being doing this type stuff, but in this one I thought they did a pretty decent job of masking it.
Kevin Yeager created and designed the puppet that was Chucky. There is an hour-long documentary of him creating the legendary killer on YouTube. And I bring this up because on YouTube it is a raw footage like somebody's Sony Handycam for 1 hour while they create the Chucky doll. The studio first gave Chucky a different voice created by Jessica Walter in order to make the doll sound more childlike. Brad Dourif was brought back to do the final voiceover work, thank God.
Is this Jessica Walter of Archer fame, Arrested Development?
That would be some independent research that the audience will have to do, because I do not know.
I just Googled what Hootie said. It is, in fact, Jessica Walker of Archer and Arrested Development fame. If you guys don't know who she is, watch those shows. That shit is funny.
Charles Lee Ray is derived from names of notorious killers Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray combined. The last piece I have here before we start getting into the movie is that the budget was $9 million and it made over $44 million globally.
Jeez.
It's impressive.
That's a franchise.
And with that, let's begin our journey through Child's Play, 1988. The opening scene gives us a chase scene between Detective Mike Norris and Charles Lee Ray, where the two exchange gunfire and run into a toy store. In this scene, Charles Lee Ray runs by a good guy Uzi gun toy that I had a lot of questions about.
We actually see that toy a little bit later in the movie. Andy already has one. It's in his closet when he's hiding from Chucky. Back then, man, kids, they were given stuff like that, like knives, hammers, baseball bats, machine guns.
Well, there was definitely a hammer was given out. We will soon learn about that hammer.
I did not see the Uzi.
But the fact that you got...
Fuck? I thought these were like construction workers.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
that
you
scene.
didn't see that little poster? Or no, they actually had a box, like a Uzi box. Of,
Aren't these like
Yeah,
construction
you get a little
workers?
Uzi where you're a good guy.
Like he pulls an Uzi out of his fucking lunchbox?
they have, they do a lot of stuff. They're, like you see on the bottom of the shoe at one point, they're Renaissance men, or Renaissance dolls.
You got your construction worker good guys, Chris, and you got your mobsters good guys. Fucking cannolis.
So that same scene when he's limping after he gets shot in the ass, these cops drive by him. Like he's literally like 2 feet away from their fucking window and he's hiding behind this rail. Nowhere else he could have
Yeah,
went.
okay.
Keep going.
We were going to talk about the same thing. This motherfucker's like hiding behind a pole like he's in an 8-year-old hide and seek game. Like his shoulders and shit sticking out the side of the rail.
Detective Norris shoots Charles, who bleeds out in front of a good guy doll that he then casts a spell on. How did he know how to do that? Was my exact question in that moment.
Oh yeah, it's definitely kind of jarring, but
like,
I mean,
okay.
we see it later on in the movie. It actually fleshes out the character pretty well in terms of knowing that stuff. Ade Duwe Dambala, give me the power, I beg of you. Secus in te ma pois de mort. Motacele de vocal voce, vocal vocete. Indule por se Dambala. Secos in te se ma pois de mort. Indule por se Dambala.
Nice.
And I think I need to take a shit now.
Apparently that was. It sounds kind of French, but it's like they say it's more Creole, like
Yeah, I think it's a
guess
hybrid.
Louisiana, French or whatever. He has to settle before the for the good guy doll because he trips over and he's like dying. He actually makes a point of saying, I'm dying, checking his gunshot wound a little bit earlier in that scene.
Dying here.
He has a pretty good dialogue with Officer Norris or Detective Norris, whatever he is. Talking about how he's going to get his revenge and all this stuff. But if I was in his shoes, I probably would have looked for like a Stretch Armstrong or something like that to get that long dick. You know what I mean?
I don't think sexual reproduction was on his mind at that point, but it may have been more beneficial for like fighting cops with the stretching ability.
What if he got put in like a G.I. Joe? Big old biceps, comes with like a bunch of different weapons.
Do you remember trying to imitate the chant as a kid, Chris?
Yeah, I remember I would lay Joey down at night and put a hand over his forehead. I wanted to know so bad what it was like to be an older brother.
I am learning so much about you two's childhoods tonight. I'm telling you what.
How do you know we haven't swapped bodies, Hootie?
The store is destroyed by a lightning bolt. However, Detective Norris is unharmed. But Charles Lee Ray is dead.
It's almost comical that his most well-known role isn't actually himself. It's the embodiment of a plastic toy. 5% of the people may think of Worm Tongue from Lord of the Rings, but I think everyone else is going to be like, oh, that's the voice of Chucky,
Man, you knew his name from Lord of the Rings. Good for you, Joy. We move to a kitchen prep for a birthday bash, where Andy is burning toast and watching a creepy good guy commercial. We also learned that this film is set in Chicago.
Also, you're talking about the promo of like the guy in the big get-up with the big head?
Yeah,
Okay.
the big-ass man in a good guy outfit.
Yeah, it was like, what was that show, Chris Harvey? It's like Talking Dead. It was talking good guys. Like after the episode had aired, they would come in and just, you got any fucking questions? Anybody want to get an Uzi? Shit like that.
That was the scariest part of the movie for me. Was just a creepy-ass good guy dude.
The kid spilling the damn food made me super anxious.
But how do you guys feel about his acting in this movie? The kid, yeah, Andy.
I actually had like a solid note about this. from him acting like a child, he's fucking terrible. But when he has to act afraid, he's really good.
For me, the reason I bring it up is his reaction to the burning toast in this scene, where he turns around and looks and sees it burning. He grabs it barehanded out of the fucking toaster and
which you should always do.
Carries it 10 feet across the room. Doesn't bother him. However, when he goes to put it on the plate, he jerks his hand away like it's hot. Like, I think that's fine. Like, that's good. But, like, he literally grabs it out of the fucking toaster and carries it across the room, having third-degree burns on his fingers.
Did anyone else get to open birthday presents at 6:30?
Hey, that was him in the power play. That was him in the power play, man. He fucking made a breakfast us like, I did this for you, now it's time to do something for me.
I don't think Andy was going to have a party.
What the hell is the streamer all this shit
I don't think
for?
Andy has any friends.
Now you're making me feel really shitty.
I don't know. Well, I'm just saying, did he talk to any other child in the film? I know for me, to make a call back to an earlier show Joy talked about, when I was a kid, I think I was 7 years old for my birthday, my parents bought me WCW Nitro for PS1, and I was pumped.
I can't wait to jump off the top rope with Eddie Guerrero. Oh, La Parka, he put him in another fucking stunner.
Yeah, only plays luchadors.
Yeah, apparently Joy only played as luchadors.
Hootie, why do you keep DDTing me? Use another move, you fucking cuck.
So as Andy is pumped for his presents at 6:30 in the morning, he is gifted clothes and then an accessory pack for the good guy doll, at which he shows his mother a very big disappointed face of he actually wanted the good guy doll.
Well, the whole time he's making breakfast, he's eye-fucking this child's coffin size package that's wrapped up for his birthday in the corner, and man, he's licking his lips, salivating, dude. He's thinking, hey, man, this has got to be the good guy doll. Lo and behold, the mom whips it out, and there's a single pair of jeans in this large-ass box. This
kind of a dick move by the mom.
This is probably the first instance of got him in any sort of capacity. And then she gives him a fucking tool chest, and he's got this reaction of, what's this shit? What am I going to do, build a fucking clubhouse?
Why would you buy your kid an accessory pack for a toy that he doesn't even have?
It's like buying a fucking controller for a PlayStation you ain't got, bro.
So we learned that the good guy doll cost $100, which I'm assuming for 1980 is pretty damn expensive.
Let me do the calculation for inflation.
It's expensive now.
That would come out to $245.
Damn. So Andy wanted his single mom who worked at a damn department store to buy a $200 and something doll
for his birthday.
While she's paying for rent to live in the city of Chicago, which had to be fucking outrageous.
This kid's a stooge. Karen goes to work and learns from her coworker Maggie that she can buy a good guy doll from behind the building from what appeared to be a drug dealer. And so she does just that. Karen is then forced to work a double thanks to her corporate boss, so that means her friend Maggie has to watch Andy play with his creepy good guy doll tonight.
It's funny when she actually gives it to him. She comes in the door and they're together. And it's in the exact same type of box that his pants were previously in the previous scene. And she says, "This isn't groceries." You know, Andy's thinking, what is it, a pair of socks to go with my fucking pants?
Is it the Uzi accessory pack, Mom?
Did you get me a set of batteries?
Andy opens his good guy doll, and it says, "Hi, I'm Chucky, and I will be your friend till the end." So after a great night of being a babysitter, Maggie puts Chucky and Andy to bed, and she soon witnesses the TV cut on after bedtime, and she thinks that Andy did it. So she puts them back in bed and blames Andy for the whole fiasco. Chucky then runs past Maggie into the kitchen. Maggie searches the house thinking that Andy is awake and running around. She eventually finds flour all over the kitchen floor.
Watching this scene play out with Maggie, a lot of it's from Chucky's point of view. And watching it, to me anyway, it brings to mind like the opening sequence from Halloween when we see a young Michael murder his sister.
I really enjoyed the shot of Chucky running by the couch.
Yeah, it was great.
That was really well done.
Yeah. Well, she's sitting there reading a book and watching TV at the same time, dude. She was asking to be murdered.
Yeah, that pissed me off. I wrote down, I was like, if she's reading a book with the fucking TV on, she deserves death. And she's wearing shoulder pads.
I didn't know the Horrible Film School was all about reading. All right, learning.
You turn that TV off if you're going to read a damn book.
One or the other. Make
pay
a
attention.
decision.
What if she's like reading Hemingway and watching The Godfather? Like
What,
just
she
two
got
pieces of
7
American
eyes?
history.
How's she doing all this shit?
No. Then she's not doing either. Multitasking
There
is
you
not
go.
real.
There you
Go ahead and
go.
blow that up right now.
That should be on a T-shirt.
It's called half-ass effort to do things at once is what it's
Yeah,
called.
that's me. 100%.
So Maggie begins to clean the flour up, as any good babysitter would do. And then Chucky hits her in the head with a toy hammer, which sends her out the window and into a car.
Bang. Right in the fucking forehead, bro.
Would you call this whack to the forehead a jump scare? I think I would.
Yeah, it definitely comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, ding, ding, ding.
Red rum! Red rum!
So there we go. We've got our first red rum trope of the day.
I'm trying to figure out why Chucky actually killed Maggie. Obviously, she really didn't do anything to deserve what she got. But in
But did
in
she?
rewatching the movie, man, I come to the conclusion it's pretty much he's just trying to bring Mike Norris into the picture so he can get his revenge. So it's like you kill her, and then they get like a police investigation going, and now Mike Norris is gonna be coming around, and he can take care of that cocksucker.
She gets hit in the head with a toy hammer. Like, how hard could that actually hurt?
Did you watch the
Chucky's
movie?
strong as fuck.
This
man.
dude is strong as shit.
It's still a toy. It's still a piece of plastic.
No. It was actually steel.
They were training your ass to work at that fucking point. There's no play
It's the
here.
80s, and as a single mom, you're giving your kid anything to shut him the hell up and keep him preoccupied. Take this hammer.
She said, all right, get some fucking nails and fix the bathroom while I'm fucking at work
Pretty
tonight."
much.
Detective Mike Norris shows up in order to inform Karen about what happened. Detective Norris asks Karen, "What do these footprints on the kitchen counter mean to you?" I just love that. I don't know what the hell he was supposed to, like. What was he thinking?
He says, "What is that?" And it's like footprints in flour, and it's like too small to even be a child's shoes. This is like baby shoes. I was hoping a guy should say, "It looks like somebody spilled some flour."
Yeah, like these are fucking detectives. They've been working on this kitchen scene for at least an hour.
Oh, there's 15 cops in there.
Exactly. Like the most Scooby-Doo fucking detective. What's the most obvious clue you're ever going to find? Footprints. These some bitches are like...
Duh, we
right
checked
there?
all your shoes in the closet, but we didn't check the pair that Andy was wearing. Duh.
While Detective Norris is accusing Andy of being the killer thanks to footprints and flour, Andy figures out that Chucky was the culprit on the counter because he has the flour on his shoes.
Dun, dun, dun. Did you guys see the bottom of the shoes and take note of what's on the bottom of the shoe? There's a hammer, a baseball bat, an axe, a gun.
Jesus.
I'm thinking, are these good guys' shoes, or are these some like a limited edition shit from the board game Clue?
Detective Norris leaves, and Karen goes back into Andy's room to find him sitting in the dark in front of Chucky, which creeped me the hell out.
The mom comes in and goes, what were you talking to Meg? What were you talking to Chucky about? He goes, he said Aunt Maggie was a real bitch and got what was coming to her. The kid's delivery is so bad, it makes the line even that much more comical.
Alex Vincent in the Child's Play documentary said that he could not deliver that line because he didn't want to say bitch. That's why it sounds so bad. The next day, Karen drops Andy off at school with his big-ass good guy doll that he takes into school with him. I didn't know what was going on there.
Well, I don't know if
Did you see
caught
the
it.
one kid in the background?
There's a 13-year-old kid who carries one as well into the fucking school, just asking to get a swirly, bro. You about to get your ass kicked on the playground.
I was like, this kid behind him is 2 feet taller than Andy, bringing a fucking good guy.
This
in.
kid
I'm not
plays
gonna go
lineman
with
on
this.
the fucking football team for the school.
Andy and Chucky leave school out the back door and take the Amtrak to what looks like Southside Chicago.
No one thinks it's weird that a fucking 6-year-old's on a train by himself with a damn murder doll.
That he continually whispers to the whole time.
He's like blowing him kisses
Perfectly
and
normal.
shit. It's so weird.
Chucky leads Andy to a trap house where for the second movie in a row, we see a pilot light being cut off to a gas stove, which in turn is shot by the resident and blows the house to hell.
Andy hears the gunshots initially when the guy's stalking through the house looking for Chucky. And he goes bolting in the direction of the shots, yelling for Chucky, like Chucky's out here, like, shooting up the neighborhood.
It shows you how good of a friend Andy is.
And then the explosion. It's like, did Chucky turn on a gas, or did he plant a stick of dynamite?
It's the same thing in Phantasm 2. Like, the house just blew to holy hell.
Yeah, my memory of this was like the only scene I had no memory of when I rewatched this for the show. I'm an anti-rat man, so I was pretty disturbed at all the rats at Eddie's squatting ground there. It was pretty freaking disgusting.
I'm pro-rat. Bring on the rats.
So we should definitely cover Willard on the show. Karen shows up at the police station where Andy is being interrogated. Andy has a breakdown due to Detective Norris thinking he is responsible for everything, which leads him to be hospitalized in a children's psychiatric ward.
So why'd you do it, Andy? Why'd you throw it out of the fucking window, huh?
The concept of a grown fucking police officer interrogating a child thinking that he blew up a house is a little far for me.
I do like this is kind of exclusive to this entry in the franchise because obviously after this, there's no confusion about who really killed who. But going back to the first kill, we really don't know what happened. It could have been Andy for all we know, right? From the cop's perspective, I could see them believing that Andy might have killed his aunt in just some kind of snapped psychosis kind of way. Like it's his birthday, his mom abandons him, he doesn't have any friends. Only person he got to talk to is a doll, he just snaps and kills the aunt. That I can get behind. This going to this serial killer's partner and doing, that's a bridge too far.
The next scene, perhaps my favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes of this film. While Andy is away, Karen takes care of Chucky and soon realizes that the batteries were never put in.
This is probably hands down the scariest scene in all of the Chucky movies. Just because, like you said a little bit earlier, Chris, we're not 100% sure, or the people in the movie aren't 100% sure that Chucky's alive. They all think it's, fake and all this other shit. And then from that point on, Chucky's the killer. But this right here is definitely your butthole tightening type sequence.
Yeah, I thought that was great too, because you could have played that scene one of two ways, right? Like the battery hits the ground, you turn and he's gone, which is one kind of way to do it. But you turn, he's just fucking sitting there. It's 100 times worse.
So in that scene, Karen checks the battery port, and Chucky turns his head around backwards to talk.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
She's at, oh shit! Drops him on the ground. He does a combat roll.
Karen tries to burn Chucky and soon finds herself in a fight with the good guy doll, who takes the elevator and escapes. But in that scene, Brad Dourif says a pretty fantastic line, Chris.
You talk to me, goddammit, or else I'm going to throw you into the fire. And we have a pause. You stupid bitch. You filthy slut. I'll teach you to fuck with me. This is zero provocation. We don't know anything about this woman's sexual history, but she's a bitch and a fucking slut instantly.
Poor Karen is having a rough go of things, man. Karen runs to Detective Norris and tries to explain that Chucky attempted to kill her. He doesn't believe her, so she goes into Southside by herself in order to find the drug dealer who sold her the good guy doll to begin with. The drug dealer informs Detective Norris that he found the doll at the toy store where Charles Lee Ray died, where the detective killed him.
During this scene, she's walking around the bum alley. There's a moment where the camera pans and it's just showing you dilapidated surroundings and just people who are really, really down on their luck. There's this hobo sleeping, and then there's this bum who's pissing on him while he's sleeping. I had to rewind it 3 or 4 times, man. I couldn't stop laughing. That shit was so funny.
Chucky Detective Norris drives away in his car, and Chucky shows up in the back seat, strangling Detective Norris.
With a pair of jumper cables.
Yeah, it was bad. It's the first time we hear that laugh, man. That iconic laugh. And then you have the dick butthole stabbing thing he's trying to do.
Got him in the gooch.
I did not connect it to the dick butthole.
How often do you see someone trying to stab someone's dick and butthole at the same time? Chucky's unique, man. He can get all the angles that no one else can.
So while Chucky is trying to stab Norris's butthole, Detective Norris wrecks the car.
Well, you think about it too. In the moment, you're being choked out by a small person, in this case, a doll. You go from that to having your butthole and your dick stabbed with a knife.
So you just slam on the gas.
I'm of the argument. Why not just turn the keys back? Turn the keys, the ignition off, and the car will stop. But We also see Chucky climb up under the seat, and he holds down the gas pedal, yeah.
Chucky tries to stab the detective, who shoots him in the chest, and Chucky runs off before the detective can grab him. Meanwhile, Karen is checking out Charles Lee Ray's weird apartment with strange paintings on the wall of a voodoo master named John. Chucky goes to see John, who informs him that the longer he stays in the good guy doll, the more human that he will become.
You're an abomination against nature.
I really like this John character.
Yeah, I kind of wish he would have got a little bit more dialogue.
John calls Chucky an abomination. Chucky retaliates by using a voodoo doll, breaking John's legs and stabbing him in the heart.
The movie kind of makes it seem like the voodoo master, John, or voodoo doctor, whatever you want to call him, witch doctor, he actually had a voodoo doll of himself. Why would you have one of yourself, and then why would you let a serial killer know where the fuck it is?
Well, Chucky even poses that to him. He says, you shouldn't tell your clients about these things, John.
Makes sense.
But maybe it's, I don't know, this is me making up something that I don't know about how the religion or whatever works, but maybe it's like a prerequisite for making other voodoo dolls. You have to have one of yourself in existence.
Maybe. For me...
Like you have to give something to take something.
For me, this scene is really the birth of Chucky as well as we know him, like his personality. Like you really see it fleshed out in this scene. This movie really... doesn't really paint a picture of what you get with, Chucky, like how he kind of becomes Freddy-esque in his humor and his personality. But this scene right here is where it really, really shines a light on what he can do and how he's going to be. And sadly, it's like an hour into the movie when all this happens, so you only get like 20 minutes of nonstop Chucky action.
Detective Norris and Karen show up to John's house, who informs her that Chucky is almost human, and his heart is the only weakness. Then John dies.
His heart is almost human. It's the only way through the heart. There's also a funny line Chucky has that he tells John right before he stabs him in his chest. He says, "I have a date with a 6-year-old boy."
Chucky goes to see Andy at the hospital, and he attacks him in the surgical room. The psychiatric doctor breaks in and tries to sedate Andy before he is given a severe treatment of shock, which cooks his brain thanks to Chucky.
You know who I wish they would have cast in this role, and it couldn't happen because the guy was way too big at this moment? If Gary Busey wasn't tripping on like cocaine and psilocybins during this time period, I would have loved to see Gary Busey take a shot at this role. It wasn't big, but I think it could have been something he, would have done something unique with.
I recently watched SilverBullet again, and just Gary Busey is phenomenal.
That whole crying scene where he's like sliding down the door, it's fantastic.
Because he does the pull up to the bars to get out and like, Chucky's coming to kill me. And I was like, the dialogue had been shit up to this point.
Yeah.
But as he slides down the wall and he's crying, I was like, this
great.
Kid is genuinely afraid he's about to die. And he sold it. So that's when I gave him the child actor thumbs up at that point. And the effects of Chucky actually walking to his bed to check it, I thought that looked great.
Yeah.
It was flawless, man.
It's kind of weird because it breaks the plot, because we learn a little bit earlier when he goes to see John, the voodoo doctor. Like, John tells him, hey, the only person you can transfer your soul to is the first person that you told that you weren't actually a doll, that you were a real live person who had transferred your soul. And it turns out this person's Andy. But when he walks up to the bed, he's got his fucking voodoo knife out, ready to stab Andy through the fucking sheets. Like,
Andy runs home and hides in his own closet, which was very strange. Chucky takes the elevator with a set of grandparents.
Ugly doll. Fuck you.
Even though Chucky took said elevator, he appears in the house by jumping down the chimney. So, not sure how this house works, but that's literally not possible.
Yeah, there's a chimney in this fucking 15th story Chicago apartment.
Chucky chases Andy around the house with a knife and then knocks him out with a baseball bat.
Batter up!
Chucky then begins to chant while holding Andy's head in order to shift into his body. Is this what you two guys recreated when y'all were kids?
Yeah, Joy wasn't aware of it, yes.
Apparently I was asleep this whole time.
knocked out the baseball bat.
How do I know that this little bunny doll that Joey owned didn't take possession of his body? And then my brother isn't that doll that got decapitated in the woods. So we don't even know who I'm talking to right now.
Karen and Detective Norris break into the house and stop the transformation. Detective Norris has his Achilles cut, I believe. Not really clear. Yet still walks around the house fine.
I saw a red rum trope here, splitting up.
Oh.
He says to her, "You take care of Andy. I'm going to go look for Chucky."
Red rum! Red rum!
Chucky knocks the detective out with the same baseball bat from before. And then Chucky is shot by Karen.
But first, we have technical difficulties. The gun jams. Ding, ding,
Oh,
ding,
yes,
ding,
the gun
ding,
does
ding.
jam.
Red rum! Red rum!
Look like a burst of thunder. That's a piece of shit anyway, I tell you what.
The finales, man, that's where you get these tropes going.
Yeah, they clean the house in this area.
You guys notice, like, when he gets into a fight with Karen again, like, he bites her a bunch of times? He's all about biting. He loves biting her, dude.
The way he assaults the men and the women are completely different. It's all like breaking bones and stabbing with the men and like trying to cut your dick and butthole off.
Well, the only time he really does any damage is when they're on the ground. Like, he's got to get them to the ground first. But once they're on the ground, like, his grounded pound game is, like, on point.
So to Chris's point, the gun jams on the second shot, and Chucky attacks Karen. She is able to throw him into the fireplace. With the help of Andy, they successfully burn Chucky to a crisp with gas and a match.
And he says, "Andy, we're going to be friends to the end."
This is the end, friend. No! Ah, fuck you! You fucking bitch! Give me the boy and I'll let you live.
Next up, I think we have another red rum where the killer plays possum because a charbroiled Chucky then attacks the family.
Red rum! Red rum!
Yeah, so Flaming Chucky emerges from the fireplace and wallows all over the couch and the floor, and they think he's dead. However, we've come to learn that killing Chucky isn't quite so easy.
So the charbroiled Chucky then attacks the family and successfully stabs the mother.
This scene where he's stalking after Andy, where he, like, you know, Andy takes off running and he trips, or gets tripped by Chucky, and he sees, you know, him burnt to a crisp, holding the voodoo knife and stalking after him. That legit is fucking terrifying. And they really only show the scene for maybe 2 seconds. They really should have played more into that.
The mom grabs the gun again and begins to blow off body parts of Chucky before finally double tapping him.
John Wick.
Another detective shows up, which I don't know his name, and plays with the head of Chucky only to be attacked by the rest of the torso through the furnace grate.
That dude is strong as fuck, dog. He's choking this grown-ass man with no leverage because all he has is one arm fully extended, and he's fucking choking a grown man. It's badass. And the head's like coaching him. Kill that motherfucker. Choke him.
He's on fire in how he delivers these lines.
The new detective finally shoots Chucky through the heart. So at that point, I ask, where did the mom double tap him at?
Yeah, she shot him in the back twice, but it's like, I guess she's shooting around the heart.
Apparently, perfectly around the heart.
I think it goes back to this is like a sexist part of the movie as well, because this woman empties the cylinder, all 6 shots, and can't hit the heart. And then the detective, he like 360 no scopes Chucky right in his fucking heart, dude. 1 shot, boom, you're done.
He was another character I had completely forgotten about. I forgot he existed till this rewatch.
He was a lethal assassin. With that, Chucky finally dies. The film ends with Andy leaving behind his good guy doll and having a serious case of PTSD with toys for the rest of his life.
Until he finds Woody and Buzz.
You got a friend in me.
You got a friend in me. When the road is rubber here.
It's me, Randy Newman. kind of don't even know this guy's music. I just know he makes like really goofy ass theme songs.
He did that song, I Love L.A. I think in that song he says, you see that bum over there taking a piss. I think he says it in that song.
He taking a piss.
He just fucking loves L.A., man. With that, let's move into some Rotten Tomato user reviews. First up, we have Bill W., who says, it's like Gremlins, but terrible. 1 star.
Suck a dick.
Skylar B. says, why didn't they just pick the doll up by the head? The arms weren't long enough for him to stab you. Stupid, worthless horror. 1.5 stars.
Who they think would pick that thing up? A fucking Patrick Ewing? That dude had a massive head.
Next up, Renzo C. actually surpassed my expectations. 3 stars.
What was his expectation? 1 fucking star, dude?
Last but certainly not least is Tiger A. Hell of a name. Here we go again with the doll killing. Damn, that is not even scary. 5 stars.
What other movies is he talking about? Like Puppet Master and what else?
Puppet
Toys?
Master,
Toys is another
Demonic
one.
Toys.
But were these made before Chucky?
No, this is all after Chucky.
Well, what is he talking about?
He's just a troubled man named Tiger. That's all I can say.
There's no telling when he watched it, man. He's got the retrospect of the culture that's been formed since this.
And with that, fellas, what piece of memorabilia would you want from the film?
Give me the voodoo knife. I've wanted this voodoo knife since I was a kid. The one with the red and white stripe that he has. I found one on Etsy here earlier today. I thought about pulling the trigger. However, they want $100 for it. And it looked like shit. So.
Yeah, I had the exact same choice. And when I looked it up, I actually found that replica at Walmart. So they sell it at Walmart.
Talk about consumerism.
Oh,
it looks exactly the same.
Mass-produced knife there.
Got a big made in China on the side of it.
For me, I'm going to go with the Good Guy Uzi accessory pack.
Yeah,
Really want to pop that open and see what that thing was about, man. We never got to see it unboxed.
I can't believe I didn't even notice it, man.
How big was it? Did it have, action sounds? Could you take the clip in and out?
Stop eating my cake, Maggie. I'm about to put you down.
You're being a real bitch.
So with that, fellas, what did you think of Child's Play from 1988?
Well, for me personally, I chose this movie. Like I said, it was a long overdue for a revisit. There were some ups and downs, but I think ultimately for me, it gets a thumbs up because it really comes down just to the simple fact that this is the genesis of the GOAT voice performance and all of horror for me. Like, this is probably the greatest voice acting or actor in all of horror. So for that reason alone, it's something that needs to be seen, in my opinion.
For me, Chucky is a classic 80s horror flick that acts as the godfather to several cash-ins that came after its release. As we alluded to earlier, just to name a few, they are Pinocchio's Revenge, Demonic Toys, and Dolly Dearest. Which I'm sure we're going to cover on this show at some point. Any one of those 3. Probably all 3. With that being said, Child's Play deserves the respect that it has garnered over the years and the franchise that it created. All fans of horror should watch this film or go back and spend some time with our dear friend Chucky, because after all, we are friends till the end.
The Slurp Fest is going to continue. This is another movie from my youth that stuck with me since my youth. Funny, scary, unique. I'd really be hard-pressed to name another horror movie from the 80s that I appreciate more than Child's Play. This movie is our introduction to Chucky, who, for me, is one of the big 5 horror icons. You think horror, you think Chucky. I loved it then, I love it now. Thumbs up all the way.
With that, Chris, how close were we?
Dear God, please. Please, dear God, let me win this one time.
So last episode, we took a crack at what we thought our scores might be. Here's our recap. Myself, I guessed a 60% score for the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Mr. Hootie said an 81. And the serial killer that now possesses the body of what I call my brother guessed a 70. And the actual score is a 63.
God almighty.
Which is your boy winning 2 in a row. like a boss.
It's some bullshit.
Giving ourselves plus or minus 3 points. I'm exactly 3 points off here, which puts me in the illustrious position of choosing our next film.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure on you. You chose a good movie for, this first one. Do you have something in mind for the next one?
I do. I'll kind of give you my rationale here. So, with Child's Play, it was kind of something that I had exposure to, kind of wanted to revisit. But now, I've been kind of debating if I got the chance to choose, do I want to choose something that I consider personally like a favorite, something great, or do I want to go something I've never seen? So in preparation for some stuff coming out later in this year, I'm going to choose to watch something I've never seen, which is the original Candyman.
Oh yes, Tony Todd.
Candyman.
I'm not sure what year it is. We'll look that up in a bit, but yeah.
The bees, not the bees!
Tony Todd is fantastic.
The trailer for the remake or remaster or reboot, whatever the fuck you want to call it, looks really good.
It's a reboot.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peele wrote it, but he's not directing it. So I'm a fan of his work. I'm looking forward to that. I figured I owe it the respect to go check out the original before that happens. So,
hey, it's works out good for me because I haven't seen it either.
It actually ages well because a big part of the movie is his relationship with a white woman. And you'll learn what happens because of that.
So, all right, folks, if you want to hit the pause button here, we're going to watch the default trailer for Candyman 1992 on imdb.com. And we'll watch it and get back with you and share our reactions.
He's here.
Candyman, you don't have to believe. Just beware.
I really like that trailer. I feel like we watched the trailer for Phantasm 2, right? Showed us the entire movie. Candyman, we just watched this, and I have no idea what the fuck's happening.
Well, all right, with the trailer and the books, you guys want to guess what the audience Rotten Tomato fan score would be for Candyman 1992?
I guess I'll take the first crack at it. Having not seen Candyman and knowing that it probably has somewhat of like cult status, I'll say 55.
Yeah, kind of in the same vein. I think a lot of people like this. I don't know if that's like a recent thing, maybe because of all the Jordan Peele stuff going on. I'm going to say 75.
Going 59.
All right, as always, thanks for listening, folks. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and most anywhere you get your podcast. Also on Instagram and Twitter. Links to those on our website, horriblefilmschool.com. You can reach us via email if social media is not your jam, horriblefilmschool@gmail.com. So subscribe, follow, review, all that good stuff. Tell your friends, any good guys you run into. I am going to use this sign off to offer my support to, as always, single moms with unappreciative kids.
That seems to be pretty widespread in today's world, Chris.
That's all over these horror movies.
I would say to share this podcast with at least one person you know, whether they've listened to the podcast yet or not. Just let them know that we're out there. Check us out on everything Chris just said. Looking really forward to watching Candyman. Great film that I'm excited for the pretty boys to have to sit through. And looking forward to the next show. And I'm out.
Just going to reiterate what the boys just said. Appreciate all the support, love, everything you guys have shown us here recently with our endeavor. I'm still enjoying it, and I hope these guys are too. And with that, good night, sleep tight, beware the Candyman.